I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackHere.com, and today we're going to install the Lightech. We're going to break down the install for the Lightech carbon fiber rear fender install on our 2018 Suzuki GSX-R1000R STG project bike. I've actually had a few people reach out to me and ask, where are the huggers for this bike? Where's the rear fenders? You know, who's making one? I looked around a bit. We found one from Puig a little while ago. It's not out all the way yet, but it looks like it's gonna have a chain guard that it uses to help hold it in place. And then Lightech. Lightech came out with this solution that bolts right to the back of the swing arm. It's a pretty creative idea here. They're repurposing a couple of the vent holes that are used in production and casting of that swing arm. We'll show you how to do it. It's really, really easy. Clean install. Thing looks bitchin'. The quality of the carbon is absolutely amazing. Check it out right here with those R version rear sets. Gorgeous stuff. Great idea. Clean install. If you want to see what it takes, just stay tuned. We'll show you. Okay. Let's jump into the install. Here is that gorgeous carbon rear fender that Lightech made for this bike. To use it on the GSX-R1000, what they did is they came up with a method of using these existing vent holes for the casting of the swing arm during production. The only slight catch here is these are going to be irregular from bike to bike. Remember, these aren't holes that were designed for fasteners from the factory. These are holes that were there to allow them to produce this venting of the casting itself. You have these two nuts, okay? What's gonna happen is when you install these in the swing arm and tighten them down, it is going to pull these legs up against the top portion of the washer here to hold them in place. The carbon piece is very light. It doesn't take really anything to hold it in place. This is really a cool solution. First thing you should do is check your swing arm and see if they'll just push in there. On mine, you know what, I could get them to go in, but they're a little tight. They suggest either modifying these with a file or using a 7mm drill bit to just kind of clean up the swing arm. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go the drill bit route and clean up the swing arm holes. And be careful, it's gonna take a little bit of touch. You can see that wasn't much. And that's just going to allow that to pass in much easier. Like so. Out of the nut, we're going to push that in, into the swing arm. Okay, and that's actually going to sit in there pretty nice and flush. I dig that. Do that on both sides. I actually forget the proper name of this fastener. I apologize for that. Not really a big deal. Now, they want you to use the screw to actually draw the legs up. You'll see that the washer they provided, it's got a rubber washer on the backside. I don't want to screw that all up, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the screw and the washer and separate the two. And then in my spares, found another washer, okay? I'll slide over this. I'm not afraid of getting that marred up. I'm going to use that to draw the legs of the fastener up. So I'm kind of holding it in place and just using a Phillips screwdriver here. Right there. Now I'll repeat the process on the other side. And you'll know whether or not you've drawn it up enough when you go to take the screw out. If the nut is spinning in the swing arm, obviously you've not went far enough. A little downward pressure on the screw will help hold it in place while you're expanding the legs out. Once you get to a certain point, you don't have to put as much pressure on it downward. Okay, what I want you to do is, like I said, I think it's really important, you know, take that washer off that has the rubber washer on the back. Take that off, get your own washer, use the screw. And I want you to make sure that you have both of these totally even. You'll know when you're running it down. You don't need to put a tremendous amount of torque on it, but you'll feel it really start to stop, okay? And when you're all done, when you put the screw in, just kind of take a look at that and get a visual there. That's how far it is sticking out, okay? And what you can do to make sure that both sides are kind of run down evenly, is you can just rest that now on the nut, come over to the other side, dip that in and see, yeah, that's about the same spot. So I feel like I've got those two even, okay? And that's important. You don't want this thing flying off the back of the bike. The way those have expanded in there, those nuts are not going to come out of there. Go ahead and put the washer back on the screw. Definitely want to use just a little bit of medium thread locker here, okay? Last thing you want to do is have your buddy say, hey man, that was a sweet hugger you had on the back of your bike that just shot off and flew over my shoulder. Okay, so a little thread locker is going to help that. Make sure the rubber side of the washer is facing the carbon. Go ahead and dip that in there. Eyeball that like so. I'm not 100% sure I can get these screws in without removing the tire, okay? I was able to do everything else with the tire on the bike. Not quite sure how this last step here is gonna work. That angle looks like it gets a little interesting there. Okay, so we may be headed for a quick cut. And when we come back, the wheel will be off the bike, or maybe I get the screwdriver in here and let these bad boys run down. Definitely go for a longer Phillips screwdriver now. Okay, I had one with a little longer shank in my box, and I can tell you right now, at a minimum, you're gonna need that, okay? Your other option would be to pull the rear wheel from the bike. Totally up to you. Just gonna get that run down just about finger tight. I'm going to give Lightech credit here. This is a pretty creative solution for a hugger install on this GSX-R1000, and this is something I've actually had multiple riders reach out to me at this point and ask, hey man, where are the huggers for this bike? I really want to get something on the back. What's everybody going to come out with? I've seen something from Puig that's on the way, but it involves a chain guard install, and now everybody's going to be cool with that. I like this one. This looks pretty dang factory once you're done. Remember, these are small screws. I've got thread locker on there, and that's a carbon part. You've got a rubber washer. There's no reason to go crazy with a torque. Just get them both run down. Got plenty of clearance here right now. I do use my axle is further back in the swing arm. Bike handles a little better like that. There you have it. If you want to come around the back too, Steve, and show them, I mean, it looks really clean. It looks super factory. I mean, you could maybe go a step further and take a black Sharpie and just kind of black out the fasteners just a little bit if you want to get picky. But that matte carbon looks great on the bike. I dig it. That was a creative solution. This is the rear fender or hugger install Lightech on our 2018 Suzuki GSX-R1000R STG project bike.